This boy is so rich. He's a millionaire at 10 years old. He buys a 10,000 square foot castle. He eats ice cream by the bucket. Shopping at the mall is like being in his house. He takes whatever he likes. But a few days ago, Jim was a poor kid who didn't even have his own room. When he went to the amusement park, he spent his whole year's pocket money. He could only afford 6 coins. He could only watch his friends ride the roller coasters. He went on the cheap merry-go-round, so his friends laughed at him. He decided not to play anymore. He bought the cotton candy he'd been missing for so long. While he was eating them, now there were no more marshmallows, and his clothes got wet from the water. When he got home, Jim couldn't help but ask his father if his family was very poor. Dad replied no. He just thought that money should be used in a useful way, and taught Jim that he should learn to save money. Jim didn't understand why his brothers could spend money as they pleased, but he couldn't. His father said his brothers earned their money through their own labor. When you grow up, you'll be able to do the same. Mom sensed something was wrong. She took out the birthday present that Grandma gave Jim. It was a blank check. Jim was overjoyed. If he puts in $1 million, he can spend it all. And just then, Dad had already filled in the numbers for him. It was only $11, and that was the end of his dream. But then he thought, a penny is still money. By the end of the night, Jim went online and looked it up. If he wanted to make $1 million with that $11 interest, he would have to save for 340,000 years. Now Jim was desperate. He thought he could save a little bit. The next day he went to the bank with $11. Lisa, the bank teller, greeted him warmly. She told him he needed $200 to open an account. Jim had no choice but to leave. The check was taken away from him by a young friend. He rode his bike to catch up with them, but he fell down in the middle of the road. He got into an accident. The owner of the car, Jack, rushed out to check. Luckily, he was fine, but the bike was broken. Jim saw the opportunity. He was ready to take him for a ride. There were a lot of people around. Jack had to pull out a check. He was going to pay him for the bike. Then a police car came along. Jack didn't even have time to write down the amount. He slipped Jim the check with his signature on it. Then he drove off. Why did he panic when he saw the police? It turns out that just a few days ago, Jack had just stolen $1 million. He asked the bank president for help, and told him he'd send someone to pick up the money at 1 p.m. the next day. Jim returned home with the junked car. He was scolded by his parents. Jim was so depressed that he couldn't sleep. Suddenly, he remembered the blank check during the day. A bold idea came to his mind.